Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of B2B Live Collab. Today, it is an exciting day. My spirit literally is ignited for my guest, Courtney Robinson. And you know what? You're tuning in today, not by happenstance. Oh, where is it? I didn't go live? Oh, I thought I went live.
Oh, okay. Oh, no.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to B2B Collab Live. Thank you so much for being here today. My spirit is definitely ignited. It is excited and it is ready to receive a word from Courtney Robinson today. If you guys didn't hear the backstage conversation that we were having, but let me tell you, you are in for something very special. And I also want to share with you during today's episode, you're not here by chance. You're not here, uh, because if any kind of thing you accidentally clicked the link. You're here because you were ready to receive whatever it is that's in your heart. You said, I need to show up today. And so you're here today. And for that, we thank you. Now, let me welcome my lovely guest. Her name is Courtney Robinson. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you. Good morning. I appreciate you having me today.
Yes, I appreciate you being here today. Please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, who you serve, and how you're influencing others.
Awesome. So, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Courtney Robinson with Image by Courtney, and I am a leadership branding strategist mentor, right? I know that sounds like a whole lot of words, but it's another way of saying a personal stylist for women leaders, right? And so, what I do is I help women align their inward values with their outward expression, right? So that they show up in a way that really edifies who they are spiritually and just, provides impact, and they are able to stand in their confidence and authority, right? So that they can command that respect that they deserve in the spaces that they're in. So, my methodology is one of, well, it's called the purpose palette persona, and it's about these pillars that I believe really help us to show up in a way that, shows the power in our personal image. So it's all about your purpose, all about your poise, your passions, and your presence. So I know we'll dig into that more, but that's a little bit about me. So I have, over 20 years of experience in corporate that I bring to the table with strategy and working with women leaders. And then I've also been building the business as a stylist for over 7 years, encouraging, inspiring, empowering women to show up as the very best version of themselves.
And you are absolutely answering the call to all things that you just said earlier. And I am here for it. We have known each other online
Yeah.
for almost a year. And
Hmm.
I will say it has been a very incredible year, in my opinion. Learned a lot. I am part of your email list. And
Yes.
every week you help us set the tone. Those on your email list, you help us set the tone for um, the week with
Right.
your poise and promise. And now I know it's Image by
Right.
Courtney, but you also have another special
I do.
email and part called Poise and Promise. And that lays the foundation for any entrepreneur, any person really who is
Mhm.
starting their day, starting their week off, so we can get in the right and aligned mindset.
Right.
Can you
Right.
please share with me before your journey with Image by Courtney and
Mhm.
the styling part, and we will get in more into that. Why did you decide to say, you know what, Poison Promise? I'm going to encourage women to start their week off, lay that foundation, let them know who they are. Why did you start off with that, and you lead with that before you come into the image and the fashion and all of those things?
Well, so Poison Promises was actually born out of, some of my own experiences that I was going through. So in 2021, I was diagnosed with brain tumors and went through a season of, having a craniotomy, having brain surgery, going through that whole process, healing from that. And I went through this season where I really had to embrace my own image, right? Sometimes we're unsure, we're uncertain, we're not that confident in ourselves and how we're showing up. And that was a season that challenged, how I saw myself. That was also a season where God spoke to me and said that through your experience, you can now empower and encourage women on a deeper level by sharing with them, the things that really helped you in terms of healing. So it was like writing to heal. So I got the idea to start the devotional. I didn't start the devotional. I kept, kind of like thinking, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And then, something else happened. I suffered, a stroke and had to, think about how I was going to recover from that. And again, God laid it on my heart. This is the time for you to start this devotional. So, again, I just finally got myself together and I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to evolve. Most importantly, it's merging the two most important things in my mind, which is how we see ourselves and then how we see ourselves in Christ, right? So, Poison Promises is about a lot of things. I talk about,
Mhm.
relationships, I talk about, image, I talk about clothing, I try to integrate tips. It's really this holistic view that I see, right? Because we're not one dimensional, right? We're multifaceted, we're very passionate people. There's so many different parts of our lives. And so all I do is use, biblical wisdom and then try to make that connection between style and spiritual, concepts to help people understand that we're here to show up as, in his image. I really believe that, right? That when we care for ourselves and we look at ourselves in a way, not in a conceited way, but in a way where we're representing the king, right? And
Mhm.
so every time we want to show up, we want to show up in a way that edifies who God is. And, as a result, we're able to shine this light out to other people and to magnetize other people to see what it is that's in us, that's shining so brightly. So, really, I just wanted Poison Promises to be, like you said, a weekly starter for women, to read and be encouraged. And have what they needed, to kind of start the week. Challenge them with a question, like there's always a question or a reflection that always relates to how are you showing up, basically. How are you showing up based on this scripture and who you know yourself to be in Christ.
Yeah.
So I love it because it encourages me, but it also allows me to share that side of my business and my calling with other women.
Yes, and that is a really holistic, pure view of what you're doing. You're not only looking at the external, you're looking also at the internal, and then you're going even deeper and you're looking at the spiritual, that
Right.
spiritual self of who you are. There are many image consultants and stylists who are around, and they do a great job as well. And of course, they talk about the mindset. Very few talk about that spiritual piece, who you are. And they forget that when we are on camera or we're out there in the world, we're shining our light, how we're presented on every single layer, our
Mhm.
physical appearance, the lipstick, the hair, the blazer, the nail polish, whatever it is, the mindset, how are you showing up mentally, uh, and what it is that you want from it, and then of course that spiritual piece. Did you prepare spiritually? Is this where you're meant to be? Is this how your spirit is your spirit reflecting through your outfit?
Right.
And so you're going through an entire um, like it's like you're going through these three steps, but they're three really they're very important steps. And of
Yeah,
course,
it's
it's
a
corporate.
framework. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
framework. Absolutely.
yes, I agree. Now, I want to ask you, B2B, when another business takes a look, they're scanning around, and you've been, you've been around for a while, a
That's
minute
a
or
while.
two. You've seen all kinds of things. How do you believe, and based on your expertise, other businesses view potential partnerships and collaborations when they are seeing someone, and how they show up? What are they kind of looking for?
Hmm. Well, they're looking to make sure that your values, right? What you're professing that you are, that your business is, that it's showing up in every aspect of your image, right?
Mm,
So we talk about first impressions and how those matter, right? So how you show up conveys this confidence and competence, which are really critical for gaining trust, right? And establishing credibility with other business owners. So, you just want to show up in your authenticity, and you want to show up in a way that piques people's interest in wanting to get to know more about you, right? So people see you before even have the opportunity to open your mouth. So when they look at that outward appearance, how is that speaking for you? How is that representing you before you then have an opportunity to reinforce it with your words? So that's what image is. It's a silent communicator, but it's a powerful communicator in
yes.
terms of people really size you up in what, 5 to 7 seconds. And, they've already made this determination of, again, your competence and your confidence and, all these different things. They make assumptions based on how you show up. You have control over that, right?
Yes.
You have the ability to elevate that perspective of how people view you so that they view you in a way that they're attracted to you. They want
Mhm.
to work with you. They want to get to know more about you. They're interested in your brand.
Yes.
So I see it as a great opportunity that's oftentimes overlooked, in terms of how we show
Absolutely.
up.
Absolutely. We live in a time now where uh, we're showing up. People are showing up, and they're showing up as their authentic selves. And
Mhm.
sometimes we forget how we're showing up, and we want to show everything, like all the messes and all of the things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a time and a place for it. But I truly believe that depending on where your business is going as well, there are just certain things with how you're presenting. It needs to be presented. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Right, right. I mean, it's influencing people's opinions and their long-term perceptions about you. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
You talked about the like 7 to 10 second instant, am I gonna like you, trust you, right? When people see you. Yeah, that like I'll even say 10 seconds, because not 10 seconds, 7 seconds. I'll cut it down to 7 seconds. What are some tips for professionals or business owners who are
Right.
thinking, you know what, I want to potentially partner with someone? Like you and I are partnering now. How I chose to show up today, I know you are always on points. I'm like, okay, what's going to work for me, right? I know she's sharing this on her platform as well. So I got to make sure. Um, what tips, what advice can you share with that entrepreneur that's saying, I'm showing up, but I'm showing my whole life. You know, I don't know what step to take in terms of that
Right.
image.
Yeah, there's so many things, but I think the most important thing is to be consistent in your branding, right? And consistent across all your platforms, whether you're in person, virtual, or even in your written communication. Represent the type of professionalism that you want people to know you for, right? That reinforces your message when you're consistent. Consistency also helps you to be recognizable and reliable, right?
Mhm.
Everybody wants someone who's reliable, and that can increase the opportunities, right? It creates stronger personal and professional relationships when you're reliable and people can count on you. And then, don't be afraid to your personal image really should align with your values and your professional goals, right? That's helping you to communicate your strengths and those qualities, right? That will attract other people. So I really do believe that a well curated image can support whatever your strategic goals are when you're thinking about business to business, relationships, collaborations, partnerships. It makes it easier for people to understand your vision and how that aligns with your objectives. I mean, everything should just it should work together to represent who you are,
Mhm, mhm,
holistically. So I think those are some of the things. And I think also when it comes to creating a professional presence, right, there are some things that you can do in terms of investments that you can make, right? If you're virtual, make sure you've got a great camera, that you don't look dark or overshadowed or different things like that. And invest in a couple of, like, pieces that help you to stand out on
mhm.
camera, right? Whether it's using color psychology, like the power of color, choosing a
Yeah.
color that really speaks to who you are, but also projects something, because colors do mean something, right?
Yes,
Colors
they
can
do.
also create different emotions and connections with people. So be very strategic and intentional about what you're choosing, right? When you're choosing to show up. Attire that fits well, right? Like not wearing a big, oversized, sweatshirt or something like that, but just wearing things that are a little bit more fitted and tailored to your body so that you just show up very put together, right? That shows respect for the meeting, right? It shows
Mm,
respect for the business to business collaborations. And it also reinforces your professionalism.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
I mean, there's so many dynamics to it, but the point I want to make is that it all really starts with you, right? When we wake up and we start our day, I think we all want to be motivated in a way. Style is one simple tool that you can use to motivate yourself for the day, because we all know that when you look good, you feel good and you do good, right? So
yeah.
there's this psychology behind it called enclothed cognition, and that's really the principle of just dressing for success. So
Mhm,
dress the way that you want your day to go. If you're thinking, I'm going to close a deal today, then you probably need to wear something that's going to encourage you to close a deal, right?
mhm, mhm.
So it's just all about that mindset. Going back to what you said, mindset is very key. How we see ourselves, how we see ourselves in Christ, and then how that translates in terms of our wardrobe and how we show up.
You mentioned, well, thank you so much for sharing. You talked about being consistent,
Yeah.
that consistent branding, and then you
Mhm.
also touched on the color palette. So I want to go back to the color palette, and I will agree with that so far. Well, everything that you said, I agree with, because I started thinking as I started showing up a lot more on Zoom, a lot more virtually, recording more, what colors work well with me, as well as what colors actually complement me. I
Right.
went so far as I went into Google before I started like following around with your image by Courtney, and I knew you have like a color palette. We like came to you invited me to one of your
Yeah.
you had a master class or something
Mhm.
like that at one
Last
point.
summer, that's right.
Yes, yes, and you showed that, and but before that, I went on Google and I was like, okay, what does blue mean? What does
Right,
red mean? What does
right.
white and yellow and green means? And then I recognized for me, you know what? There was one season where a lot of blues were showing for me.
Mhm.
like, and I just wanted to wear blue, and of course I love this purple and leather color, but and then I started to understand that deeper meaning, that deeper layer, and I found that as I understood that beyond the psychological piece, the spiritual piece of the color and what the color represents, now how I wear it, how I'm sitting when I'm in my Zoom calls make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Because it just does. Even there are times sometimes I just wear lip gloss, and I go on camera and I'm like, oh, I should have worn a color today because it helps. It helps with that presence. It
Mhm.
does create an impact. Please share with us a time where your image helped you kind of not helped you, but yeah, help secure um, a partnership or a collaboration with someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's happening every day. I think right now I'm in this stride where there's this visibility and consistency in my brand that people are starting to notice. And people love to be attached to things that they think are, thought leaders or,
Mhm.
positioning themselves in a way where they're, kind of like looking toward the future or talking about things that people don't ordinarily discuss, right? And that's one of the things I love about my brand. There are a lot of Christian entrepreneurs out there. And I don't call myself that. And I don't really try to put that in my copy necessarily. It's just I want people to understand that connection
Yes.
and I want them to understand the impact, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like people, they see something that maybe can complement what they're already doing or take what they're doing to the next level by collaborating with me. I'll
Yes.
give you an example. I have a workshop coming up on the 26th. I have a collaboration with a CFO, and we're doing this workshop on networking. It's called the Power Look, right?
Mhm.
And we're going to be talking about, really how to show up powerfully when you network, when you're in those spaces, not taking for granted that that's an opportunity for
Yes.
you to connect with people beyond just sharing your information and exchanging Instagrams or LinkedIn's.
Mhm.
It's about how can I really partner with this person
Yes.
for us to both benefit and build our businesses, right?
Yes.
So people are looking at you. They're observing you. They're making assumptions. There again, you have a real opportunity to show up in a way that helps your brand stand out, right?
Yes.
How do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? That's what it all boils down to. And then how do you create a really strong presence so that people are like, "Ooh, I need to talk to her. I need to really,
Yes.
get with her. I want to know what more about her. I want to know more about what she does and maybe how she can add value to what I'm doing." So that's what it all boils down to. And that's what I'm trying to create in my own brand, right?
Yes.
Is showing up in spaces and places that help give me the type of visibility that will attract other business to business. So I've got that workshop coming up. I also have a sales workshop that I'm presenting in Brooklyn in a couple of weeks that I'm super excited about. It's an atmosphere or a community of women in sales, right?
Mhm.
So these are
Mhm.
all women who are in different, types of sales. And we're going to be talking about my topic is actually clothing of distinction, how your closet impacts your bank account. So I'm really excited to show them how your image can impact your wealth.
Yes.
It can impact your wealth and it can impact, again, opportunities and possibilities and partnerships and collaborations and all the things just by how you choose to show up. People are attracted to people who are doing things that they feel like are great, right? That are
Mhm.
amazing, that
Mhm.
are forward thinking, that are pushing the envelope. And so, yeah, that's what this is all about for me is just getting my message out there and getting in spaces that resonate with who I am. I'm not for everybody, right? I know we hear that and we say
Yes.
that all the time, and I'm not, but there are some spaces that are really pivotal, not just for me, but for the
Mhm.
audiences that
Yes.
that I'm, speaking to. So
100%. Well, two things. First one, you need someone for that workshop. You need to contact my daughter, Faith. She needs to be a guest speaker. She goes to several networking events. And let me tell you, she picks her outfits out the night before.
I love that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
You need to go and check her out, her latest networking event. It was just posted today too. But
that.
yeah, so she picks out her clothing. And then this is all credit to my mom actually. She shows up early because we got to show up early because
Oh,
there's always a problem with parking. But that's the thing, and she showed up early, and uh, because she shows up early, then she gets familiar with the space. She shows needs, and this is just how she is. But I think as people as a whole, when you show up early, you get comfortable in the space, and then your presence, your
mhm.
spirit gets to take up that space. So
Right.
anyone else coming in, now you are leading,
Yeah.
right?
You kind of
Yes,
set the tone.
you
Yeah,
set the
absolutely.
tone. And so she will go and she's handing out her cards and be like, "What do you do?" And she's like, "I'm an author and speaker." "Well, what do you have?" I'm like, "I have my books." And well, who is it for? And these adults, she's normally only the only young person in the room,
Mhm,
depending on the networking event. Not all of them she can go to. And
mhm.
she's straight up. She's like, "It's for children." She's like, "It's for everybody, but it's mostly for children because I teach about kindness and compassion, and I
Yeah.
talk about bravery." And they're like, "Who are you?"
Well, she's modeling what she sees, right?
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. I just, said something the other day about, motherhood is the ultimate form of like leadership, right?
Mhm.
Because we're modeling how we show up is far beyond just getting dressed. People
Yes.
are looking at us. Your little ones are looking at you first and foremost. They're making opinions and assumptions and forming their own self concept and self, confidence based on what they see and what you're nurturing in them. So if they see a mom who always shows up looking put together, that doesn't mean you have to have on a three-piece suit or anything like that. But when they're observing that, they're taking on those qualities, right?
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
learning how to be. We're teaching them how to be in the world by, being an example. So, your children are looking at you, other business owners are looking at you, maybe mentees that you have are
Yeah.
looking at you, and they're looking to you for to be that leader in that space, right? So your image can also present that, hey, I'm a leader.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's, equally as important in your business growth. So,
Give us, as we start to wrap up now, give us a tip for showing up to, because you have your upcoming workshop, and I know you can't give all the secrets away, but give us something, a little taste perhaps of how do you, what did you call it? Like master the room or stand out in the
oh,
crowd?
yeah, command the room. Yeah. I mean,
Command the
it's just
room.
like, yeah, it's you said it yourself. It's your presence, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's so many different tips. Let me see. What would I say? Hmm. I don't know. I think you really need to understand how you want to be perceived. I think
Mhm.
that's like the number one thing. When you have clarity about who you are and how you want to show up, then it becomes much easier to demonstrate that through your wardrobe.
Yeah,
Right? If that makes sense. Like,
it
because
does.
I think for women who don't understand how they want to show up, it's just because they're really not clear on their own inner values, core beliefs, and things like
Mhm.
that. So I think you have to spend some time there. I think you have to really sit in that and you have to become very clear about this is what I stand for, this is who I am. And now, how does that translate to how I show up in the wardrobe pieces that I choose, right?
Mhm.
When you get the clarity, then it becomes much easier to determine how you want to show up.
Ooh, I like that. I like what you just said there. That was a really nice. When you get the clarity, it determines how you want to show up, and I wholeheartedly believe that. When I put on certain outfits, um, there's a whole huge difference from when I'm home and I'm just like, whatever. I don't
Yeah,
care.
and that's okay. You
And
just
that's
consider,
okay. Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
consider the
100%.
setting,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm
Yes,
not like if you're not in a if you don't have a reason to be put together, then why would you be, right? I mean, we all have times where we want to relax and
yes,
be in our, yoga pants or whatever it
yeah,
is that makes you feel comfortable. And that's perfectly fine. It's just understanding when you're in settings where you
yes,
need to be representing your brand well, that you
yeah,
know how to show up in a way that
yes.
magnetizes people, right?
Yes, 100%. And I agree. How we show up, from what we're wearing to our confidence to how we're
Mhm.
speaking,
Right.
so very important. Every
Mhm.
single piece of it. Sometimes we might feel tired or like, oh, this isn't going, but you got to that
Right.
find it within yourself to be like,
Right.
okay, am I going to show up today? If I'm showing up, let me show up the best that I can. It may
That's
not be
right.
100%, but it's going to be the best that I can show up.
Yeah,
And
even
that,
your body language
yes,
gives everything away, right? Like, you
yes,
don't have to
yes.
say a word, but if you've got your head cocked to the side or you've got this, look on your face, don't have a poker face. I mean, all of those things, you have to think of your presence in its totality, like
Hmm.
how you're showing up, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I think when we're in places and spaces that we want to be and that we're excited to be, then naturally we show up energetically in a way that, just really energizes and magnetizes other people. So be very aware of the spaces that you're going into. Make sure there's spaces that are receiving you, that make room for you, that have space
Mhm,
for you, right?
mhm.
And that you want to be in. That matters too, and that impacts how we show up, right? So,
Absolutely. Whew. Well, I enjoyed our time today. You
yeah.
shared a lot of valuable wisdom and expertise. And the best part in all of it is it's simple. It
Yeah.
was simple. It's not anything extravagant. You didn't say you have to go spend,
Mhm.
$500,000 on clothing. What you
Yeah.
said was you need to find the clarity. You need to be consistent, and
Mhm.
that will help you with your confidence so that you could command a room. Woo, I got the 4 C's.
Yes, I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
yes,
I
yes.
love it.
So when we show up that way, right, when we have that clarity,
Mhm.
the confidence, and the consistency to command,
Mhm.
it just magnetizes people to
Yeah.
us. It attracts them to us to
Mhm.
such a degree that we don't fully understand the impact or the influence that
Right.
we have on them. We just never know. Sometimes people just, they may not say anything, but they walk away with saying, like, wow, who is that
Mhm.
person? Who is
Exactly.
Courtney? Wow,
Yeah.
I need to follow up with Courtney.
Yeah.
I need
Your
to have a,
presence is felt.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I need to have a conversation with Delisa. What is it that she's doing? Are you
Right.
sure this is what you do? And that actually happened to me yesterday.
Oh, wow.
There was a follower on our Instagram when we first started Instagram for men on the other channels as well. And she's been
Mhm.
following us for a few years now. And
Mhm.
she knows about the children's book. And she reached out to go live, and she like she's a fitness instructor,
Mhm.
and so she was going through some challenging times, and she ended up falling sick, and she gained some weight, and so she had to learn now a different kind of fitness, a different kind of health and wellness. She has to do
Mhm.
all of these things, and she has this company, and they're doing these things. So we got on the phone. No, she asked me about faith. She actually asked about faith because she remembered faith and she loves faith, and she's like, I gotta get faith doing this stuff. And when we got on the phone, like, her and I were talking, I invited her over to the podcast. I invited her over different to participate, and she was like, I didn't know you guys were at this level. Like this, I know you guys are a mother daughter duo. I understood this, but like today, just you blew my mind, just how you're showing up. And so she went through the feed again, and she was super it not just, she was just impressed and just like, no, how can I support you? What can we do? And so that's where, just from that, as you saying, how we're showing up every day, this is where the collaborations and the partnerships start to come together. And initially, in some cases, you may get the financial compensation for it. And then there are other cases you may get a review, or you may get leveraging someone's audience, and
Right.
that is just as good as anything else, because those are
Absolutely.
the building blocks and the steps that we need to take for it. So I enjoyed today's session, and what
Same.
yes, and what you said about the personal image, and it really makes a huge difference, so that we can have clarity, and then we can get the confidence, and we need to be consistent so
Mhm.
we could command the room. And that is powerful, it's empowering, it's enriching, it's also hopeful. I know people don't like the word hopeful, but
It
it's still
is.
hopeful because it lets me know, yes, I can.
Yes, anybody can do it. This isn't for
Yes,
some people, this is for
yes,
everybody. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yes,
attainable for
I can.
everyone.
I can. Well, thank you, Courtney. I mean, I could just go on forever and a day, but I appreciate your time. I appreciate the service that you are giving to humanity. And I look forward to following your journey and being an active participant in all the things that you're doing.
Aw, thank you. You are a great support. I always appreciate your feedback and your, collaboration, and so thank you for this opportunity, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. See you on another episode.
Take care.